let's review the basic facts of the food program, make sure we're all on the same page. Again, as I'm going along, if you have questions, post them under the heading that says questions. I'm recording the webinar so people have the opportunity, if you want to listen to it later, you can. The food program is a federal program designed to improve the nutrition of children in child care programs. It's both in homes and centers. The rules are slightly different between centers and homes, so we're going to focus on family child care. The program is managed at a state level by a state agency, and they contract with food program sponsors, nonprofit organizations, to administer the program. The food program sponsors will send people into the provider's home to review their meal patterns, to review their records, and process sending a check to a provider each month. If you're looking for a food program sponsor, here's a link to the state agencies who can tell you the sponsors in your area. The rules are the same for each sponsor. Each sponsor might offer some additional things, some extra training or some other kind of benefits, but the rules under which you're submitting claims and getting reimbursed are the same for everyone. Sponsors conduct nutrition training, visit homes 3 or 4 times a year to make sure all the rules are being followed. Providers submit monthly claim forms showing attendance and how many different nutritious meals and snacks they're serving with menus and recipes. And after receiving those claim forms, the sponsors turn around and write a check to providers each month. All providers are eligible to be on the food program, although I should clarify that. In every state, if you're licensed, you can get on the food program. In some states, if you are exempt from licensing but meet the standards of being legally exempt under a state rule, some states allow those providers to be on the food program as well. There are 2 different reimbursement rates that a provider can receive. A higher Tier 1 rate for providers who live in a low-income area, or they serve low-income children, or their own family is low-income. To find out whether you're eligible for the Tier 1 rate, you just need to talk to your sponsor, and they will give you some forms to fill out. If you don't qualify for Tier 1, you are eligible for Tier 2. Okay, so the food program is a benefit to everyone. Let's be clear about this. You're always financially better off by being on the food program. So I like to explain it this way. Do you want to win the lottery? All right? New York has a state lottery. Do you want to win it? Yes. If your spouse came home and said, I just got a raise, should we accept it? Well, of course. If the parents came to you and said, you know what, we want to pay you more. We want to pay you $25 more per week. Do you want that money? I'm sure you'd say yes. Well, if you win the lottery, your taxes are going up. If your spouse gets a raise, your taxes are going up. If the parents pay you more money, your taxes are going up. When you get more money, when you earn more money, naturally your taxes will also go up at the same time. But you're going to have more money after you pay the taxes. So more income is always better. And the money you get from the food program, the reimbursements you get from the food program, are taxable income. You need to report it as income. Some sponsors and some tax preparers, unfortunately, get confused about this and say, well, it's a reimbursement, so it's really not income. Or it's a wash, and we'll talk about that later. No, it's not a wash. It's income. The only exception is if you are getting reimbursements for your own children. That money you get for your own children is not income. But the other money is. But that's okay. That's not bad. If I said to you, I'm going to give you $10,000, but you have to put it on your tax return and pay taxes on. Well, you would still want that $10,000 because the taxes, whatever they're going to be, are not going to be $10,000. They're not going to be anywhere near $10,000. You'll still have a lot more money afterwards. And that's the food program. If you serve 1 breakfast, 1 lunch, and 1 snack per day and submit that as a claim, if you're getting the higher rate from the food program, you're going to be receiving $1,170 per child per year. And that's going to be true this year and for 2018. If you get the lower rate, you'll at least get $561 per child per year. So that's a lot of money. So get on the food program. Get all this money. Now, some people have objections to this. Well, Tom, I don't know. I don't know if I want to be on the food program. What do people say? It's too much paperwork. It'll put our family in a higher tax bracket. I'm on tier 2. I'm getting the lower amount, and the food program reimbursements don't cover the cost of my food. Or, it's not worth it to climb a 20-cent snack if I'm on a lower rate. I'm only getting 20 cents for a snack. That's not worth it for me to bother. Or, I'm going to lose my food deductions if I join the food program, so I'll be worse off financially. That's the biggest one I've heard, this last one. So we'll talk about this last, because all of these are bogus objections. If you say, well, Tom, it's too much paperwork, it's what a hassle, it's a pain in the neck. Well, true, the food program is more paperwork. It is more work. And nobody likes doing paperwork. I get it. But think about being on the food program as having a job. Your job is doing some paperwork. Well, how much are you being paid for this job? Well, if you spend 3 hours a week doing the paperwork, and you care for 4 children and serve breakfast, lunch, and a snack, that's 156 hours a year. Now, when I talk to providers who are on the food program, many of them will say, oh, I can easily do all this paperwork in less than 3 hours a week. So I think that's a reasonable conservative number. So we're using exactly 3 hours a week. If you're getting the higher rate from the food program, whoops, I switched these around. It should say tier 1. Tier 2, I'm getting $561 per child times 4 kids. I'm getting $2,240 divided by 156 hours. I'm earning $14.38. That's tier 2, the lower rate. Sorry. Tier 1, the higher rate, you're getting $1,170 times 4 kids, $4,600, 156 hours. You're earning $30 an hour. You're earning 14 or about $30 an hour. That's a lot more per hour than you're earning caring for kids. So I would look at the food program as a well-paid paperwork job. Next objection. It'll put my family in a higher tax bracket. Well, even if it does, that's not a big deal. You will never pay higher taxes on all your other income. You're only going to pay potentially higher taxes on the food program end. If you make less than, if you're married and you're filing jointly and you make less than $19,000, you're paying 10% tax on the first $19,000 you earn. Between $19,000 and $77,000, you're paying 15% tax on that money. So if your previous income before on the food program was $18,000 and you got $4,000 from the food program, you would pay 10% on the first $1,050 of that $4,000 because that gets you up to the 15% bracket, and 15% on the amount above that. So 15% on the other $2,950. In other words, all your other money that you earned will not be taxed at a higher rate. It only means that the food program income might be taxed at a higher rate than your other income. So it's taxed a little bit more. That doesn't affect anything else. You're still going to end up with more money in your hands after you pay the taxes out of the money from the food program. All right? So that's not going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt you by being in a higher tax bracket. All right? Somebody says, I'm on tier 2, the lower rate, and the food program reimbursements don't cover the cost of the food. Well, so what? So what? Some money is better than no money. If you got $1,000 from the food program and your food costs to serve food to those kids was $2,500, why would you give up the $1,000 in income? If you don't take the $1,000, your food costs won't change. Another way of saying this is, if I said to you, give me all the receipts for all the toys you bought this last year, all right? Just show me all the receipts. And whatever the amount is that you show me, I'll give you half of that in money. I'm going to pay for half the cost of your toys. Not all of them, just half the cost. Wouldn't you like that? Wouldn't you take that money? I'm not covering all the cost of toys, sorry, half. Okay, well, that's better than nothing. So some money is always better than no money. Next, it's not worth it to claim a 20-cent snack. If you're getting the lower reimbursement from the food program, you're getting 20 cents per snack. And you might say, well, the paperwork, what a pain in the neck. Why should I even bother? Well, you're going to earn about $9.58 an hour when you claim the snack. How do I figure that out? If you had one child and you served a 20 and you got a snack 1 day a week, 5 days a week, 20 cents, 52 weeks, that's $52 a year you'd get for one child. If you had 4 kids, that's $208. If it took you 5 minutes to write down the snack, which doesn't take much effort, that's 21 hours in a year. $208 divided by 21 hours, you're earning $9.58 if you care for 4 kids. If you care for fewer kids, okay, you're going to make less per hour. If you care for more than that, you're going to make more per hour. I still think that's something, that's still more than you're earning per hour caring for kids, probably. Here's the biggest one. Here's the one I keep hearing about and people get confused about, and so let me talk about this. I will lose my food deductions if I join the food program, so I'll be worse off financially. No, this is a common misunderstanding. You are always entitled to claim food expenses in exactly the same way, whether or not you're on the food program. So you can deduct the meals and snacks that you're getting reimbursed for. If you're not on the food program, you're serving food, you're calculating your food expense. We're going to talk about how to calculate it. We'll talk about what records to keep. So you determine that, I forget if I have another slide on this, about this point. Let me look here. Yeah, here we go. Before you're on the food program, you figure you're deducting food expenses of $4,000. That's how much your food cost you, $4,000. So you put that on as an expense. Fine. Now you're on the food program. And let's say you get $3,000 from the food program. You still deduct the $4,000 that you spent on food. You still deduct the meals and snacks you got reimbursed for. Some people think, no, I can't, I'll lose the ability to deduct these reimbursed snacks once I get on the food program. No. And that's what confuses people. Sometimes people think, well, I'm double dipping. I'm getting money for these meals and I can deduct them? Yes. So if your food expense is not going to be any different before or after you're on the food program, why not take the money from the food program? You're not worse off. You're better off. You're always financially better off by taking the money. All right? I hope that's clear. I hope using those examples makes it clear why you're always financially better off on the food program. Let me say it a different way. You're going to pay about 15% tax on your profit for Social Security tax. And you're going to pay some federal and state income tax. Let's just simplify things, and let's say your federal and state income tax total another 15%. So you're at the low end, you're paying about 30% tax on your profit. If you make more money and you're in a higher tax bracket, it's possible that you'll pay 40%, maybe more, but let's just say 40%, around 30 to 40% in tax on the money you get from the food program, roughly. So for every $1,000 you get from the food program, you're going to owe an additional $300 to $400 in state and federal taxes. So you get $1,000, you pay back to the government $300 to $400, you have $700 to $600 left over after being on the food program and after paying your taxes. You're $600 to $700 ahead for every $1,000. And that means you're financially better off than the person who didn't take the $1,000 to begin with. The extra record keeping involved, I don't think, is particularly burdensome to get this money.